All things are echoes of the voice for God. What's good, fam? Today we are going to be studying lesson 151 of A Course in Miracles. A very powerful lesson. Yesterday we just finished our review lessons for a good little minute, so we are going to be in our normal practice periods. Now, before we begin today, I want you to think about what is an echo. Think about an echo. Think about whenever you're in a cave and you're like, yo, 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 you know, and you are hearing back what you gave to it first. So let's just say you're in a cave or you're in a tunnel or you're somewhere where an echo is possible and you say something, you're going to expect to hear back what you said. So if you're screaming in a cave or a tunnel, you're going to expect to hear that back. You're not going to scream and then expect to hear something completely different back. Now, it's pretty funny because remember, all things are echoes of the voice for God. It's pretty funny that the entire world, including me and you from time to time, are looking at the world, this physical nature, this physicalness of this world that we believe is what is. We believe that this is how things are in this world. And we are believing that the world is a fearful world or a chaotic world or a precious world, meaning I have to value everything in this world because if not, I'll lose it. We are putting all of our interpretations on the world, but we're not aware that we're doing just that. So we're believing that the world is this way and it's reflecting back to us this its beingness when really it is just echoing back to us what we gave it first. So basically, we're perceiving the world from our perception, and that could either be one of love or one of fear. And if we are perceiving the world with fear or any form that fear may take, then we are going to basically be screaming at the world. For example, with fear, we are going to be projecting on the world fear, and it's going to echo back to us what we gave to it first. However, most people believe that the world is just giving them what the world is. Most people believe that the world is just this way and it's giving me this, but they don't understand how echoes work. They don't understand that that is exactly what the world is doing, is reflecting back to you what you screamed into the cave first, so to speak. Now, it's important for us to understand that all things are echoes of the voice for God, meaning this highlighter that we see right here does not mean anything. We have given it all the meaning that it has for us. That person over there we have given that individual over there all the meaning that they have for us, that situation, circumstance, event, etc. We do not understand, but although we think we understand it, and because we think we understand based on what we have given that thing. So what we do is instead of hearing that echo reflected back to us of the voice for God, which is where everything has emerged forth from, we are only hearing our own echo screaming back to us. Meaning, if that person is over there and we say, "You're a bad person," it's going to echo back, "Bad person." And we're going to think that that's just what that individual is, or a bad person, when really we gave them that interpretation and that judgment. But if we were to look beyond all of the meaning that we have gave everyone and everything in this world, we would hear the voice for God. Because remember, there is one, there is source, and that source bursts out into many. So although it looks like I'm over here and this person's over here and I'm this body and they're this body and we're attacking each other and we are thinking negative thoughts about each other, we are really only doing it to ourselves. Because if you go back to the origin of where everything from, it's always the oneness. But you can't allow yourself to experience this oneness which you are whenever you believe that whenever you believe in separation. If I believe that I'm over here and this person's over here and I'm better than and they're less than, or I'm less than and they're better than, that is perpetuating the idea of separation. Therefore, I can't get to a place of oneness and connectedness with all aspects of creation because I am perceiving separation. And what me and you are doing is unlearning all of that separation which never really existed, so that way we can return to our true perception and knowledge, which is this oneness beyond the veil of illusion. This is where we are getting to. We've reached this state many times before. You may be here now, and we are going to practice this state of mind so much to the point where no practice is no longer necessary because we are anchored here. Now, we will discuss this as we move forward today, but let's go ahead and pull up to the lesson if you're not there already. And if you don't got the book yet, PDF is in the description. Let's go ahead and begin. Lesson 151. All things are echoes of the voice for God. No one can judge on partial evidence. That is not judgment. It is merely an opinion based on ignorance and doubt. Now we're going to pause there and we're going to look up the definition and activate the definition and intention of the word judgment. So judgment is forming a conclusion about something or someone based on perception, interpretation, or belief. One more time. Judgment is a conclusion about something or someone based on perception, interpretation, or belief. Meaning, I believe that is this way, that this is this is that is good, that is bad. And we are forming a conclusion about something based on our perception. But you have to recognize how false that is. That's why the Course states right here, no one can judge on partial evidence. And that's what everyone is doing, is they are judging on partial evidence. They're judging based on their own tiny little separate perspective. That is not judgment. It is merely an opinion based on ignorance and doubt. Now, judgment is unreliable because most of the time we are judging from our ego, because the ego is who judges here. The ego is who's judging from that separation. Only the ego can judge against things because it thinks that is that and I am this. You're over there, I'm over here. This, that, hot, cold, left, right, up, down, duality. This is a state of mind that cannot be expressed with words, but we're doing our best here today. Now, and we're going to read this one more time. No one can judge on partial evidence. That is not judgment. It is merely an opinion based on ignorance and doubt. Meaning, if no one can judge on partial evidence, that must mean that one can judge whenever they see the entire picture. But at that point, you're not really judging. You're just seeing what is. Meaning, whenever you are in a state of enlightenment and oneness and you're seeing from the top of the mountain, you're seeing from a helicopter and you're looking down at the mountain, seeing it from all angles, you are not really judging at that point. You're just seeing for what is. Now, on that mountain, let's just say someone's over here on the west side of that mountain, someone's over here on the east side of that mountain, and the person on the west side of that mountain is saying, this is what the world is from over here, this is what this is what that is. And the person on the east side, on the opposite mountain, is saying, this is what this is what that is. And they're basically judging the world from where they're at, and that would be considered judging because they have partial evidence based on ignorance and doubt, meaning they're not seeing the entire picture. But whenever you are anchored in the oneness up here on a helicopter, seeing all angles of the mountain and everyone on it, you're not really judging. You are seeing the entirety of the photo, which is why God does not judge. God is just what is. There is no judgment necessary whenever you understand that you are this individual over here who is, and you are also the individual over there that you're judging. We're not going to get too deep into this right now, but this state of mind is something that we are going to gain as a result of moving forward with these lessons. But just understand that we're going to activate that word one more time. Judgment is forming a conclusion about something or someone based on our perception and our interpretation and our belief systems. And before we continue, we just have to understand that most of the time we are perceiving fearfully with the ego. We are believing in worry, doubt, and fear and separation because there is only two ways we can perceive. One is in truth, which is knowingness, and the other one is the ego, fear, not real, illusion. Love, fear, that is all you could choose from. You have two teachers to follow, two voices in your mind. It could either be the voice of God, which is really there, and the ego, the self that you made apart from God, that is not really there. It's only a belief, and whenever you're judging based off of this belief, you are doing so based off of ignorance and doubt, because you're not seeing the entire picture, but you're saying this is how things are. This is this way, believing that you're right and the other person is wrong, or whatever it may be. And we have to understand that we are basically receiving back to us what we have judged against. We are saying this is the way things are. We project that outward, and then we are being shown to us an image that is going to justify that belief. So we think that that is truth, when really, if we understood that we do not understand anything, and we understand that we have given all of this, all of its meaning, then we will understand that the real true meaning of everything we see, whether it's a physical material, a body, a person, situation, event, everything has emerged forth from the oneness, and that is its true meaning. All things are echoes of the voice for God. Now let's continue. That is not judgment. It is merely an opinion based on ignorance and doubt. Its seeming certainty is but a cloak for the uncertainty it would conceal. It needs a rational defense because it is irrational, and its defense seems strong, convincing, and without a doubt because of all the doubting underneath. You do not seem to doubt the world you see. You do not really question what is shown you through the body's eyes, nor do you ask why you believe it, even though you learned a long while since your senses do deceive. That you believe them to the last detail which they report is even stranger, when you pause to recollect how frequently they have been faulty witnesses indeed. Why would you trust them so implicitly? Why but because of underlying doubt, which you would hide with show of certainty? How can you judge? Your judgment rests upon the witness that your senses offer you, and your senses are not offering you the complete picture. You're looking with the body's eyes at this situation or this person, and it's showing you such a limited perception of what is really going on here, and you're judging based off of that. You're judging based off of nothingness. This is form. Form does not mean anything. The body is form, but in itself is neutral. It does not mean anything. It is a symbol reflecting back an idea, but it is not the idea. It is just the symbol. Whenever we understand, and we've discussed this not too long ago, we haven't got to this lesson yet, but the lesson states something along the lines of, all things I think I see are reflecting ideas. So even though I think that I see a piano, or I think that I see a person named Erica or John, or I think I see a situation of a flat tire or not enough of a certain resource, I am simply seeing form, and I am judging and making conclusions based off of what my senses are showing me, which is not the whole picture. And that is not going to get us nowhere, because we are going to make decisions based off of that judgment and move based off of that decision, and we are going to receive results based off that decision we made, and that decision was false. That the decision we made based off of that judgment was false. It was based off of fear and separation, and it is deceiving us. Your judgment rests upon the witness that your senses offer you, yet witness never falser was than this. But how else do you judge the world you see? You place pathetic faith in what your eyes and ears report. You think your fingers touch reality and close upon the truth. This is awareness that you understand and think more real than what is witnessed by the eternal voice for God himself. Can this be judgment? You have often been urged to refrain from judging, not because it is a right to be withheld from you. You cannot judge. You merely can believe the ego's judgments, all of which are false. It guides your senses carefully to prove how weak you are, how helpless and afraid, how apprehensive of just punishment, how black with sin, how wretched in your guilt. Now, again, we never use these words on a daily basis. We are not even aware that this is going on beneath the surface, but we have to remember that the ego, i.e., the self that we think we are, that we made apart from God, was made out of separation. And that ego, that self that we made, took on a mind of its own and thinks that it is real, thinks that it is separate from its source and everyone and everything, all aspects of creation. The ego literally took on a mind of its own and believes that this is what it is, a separate from all that is. Over here, not over there. It believes that there is over here, over there, time, space, this, that. Again, this state of mind is one that you have to experience, but this is what we are believing. This ego is taking on a mind of its own, and it guides our senses carefully to prove how weak we are. The ego sees itself as weak because whenever you're separate from your source, of course you are weak. You are separate from all life force and power. So the ego is guiding your senses carefully to prove how weak you are, to justify how helpless and afraid and apprehensive you are, and to justify how just punishment is coming your way. Now, let's continue, but let's understand that that judgment that we are making, anytime you are judging another individual or a situation, try your best to step back from that judgment and say, I do not understand this situation. This thought about blank is an attack upon myself. Anytime you are not at peace, you are judging with the ego, and the ego judges off of a perception that is not full. It is not the whole entire picture. It is separation. You are furthering that separation by believing that what your body's eyes are showing you is true, and then you are reinforcing the belief that you are this body separate from all that is, and that person is different from you, and they're that body and you're this body, and only fear comes out of that, because whenever you are not at peace, you are afraid, regardless of how you want to look at it. When we're not at peace, we are afraid, and we are doing anything in our power to get back in control. Now, we have to understand, before we continue, that what we are doing by gaining this new perspective, I wouldn't even say gaining because it's already here. What we are doing by remembering this truth that we have been studying for the past 151 days is we are not denying that in this world there are people who can be doing things that are foolish and attackful, and they are acting in a way that they wouldn't be acting if they were in their right state of mind. And that's how we have to view the situation. So it's not denying that there are people in this world who are acting insanely, but you have to understand that they are acting insanely because they are following an insane guide. So we are not denying the behavior of anyone in this world. We are simply seeing it for what it really is. And we are seeing that everyone is either acting out of love or they are acting because they want love. And again, people believe that their salvation lies outside of themselves in the world. And none of us do anything that we don't believe is in our own best interest. Meaning, if you see someone acting insanely out there, attacking another individual, they are believing that attacking that individual is in their own best interest, because no one does anything that is not in their own best interest. And they are attacking that individual believing that that is in their own best interest because they are afraid and they believe that they are attacked. So they have to protect themselves and put up walls and barriers against what they believe can attack them. Now, that whole insane thought system is not getting them nowhere, because whenever you are in the real world, which is where we are right now, we understand that there is nothing to be attacked. There is nothing to be attacked by. There is nothing to be protected from. We are literally invulnerable to all things because we are one with and a part of all things. It would be, again, we're going to use the analogy of my right hand being separate from my face, and if they were to forget that they were operating as a whole, they would start punching each other and fighting each other, but they are they are different parts of the entirety. They are one. This whole body is one cohesive unit. Me and you, although we may have different bodies and different skin colors or genders or clothing or locations or whatever it may be in this world, we are one. We are one unit. We are here together with alongside everyone else, and we are all emerging forth from the one and forgot, and we are here to impress this back in our minds. Even that is a false statement, because we don't got to impress anything in our minds. We are simply removing all of the false perceptions that is causing us to not see that this is simply what is going on at all points in time. And even time is of our own making. We are going to discuss this more as we go further, because right here in this lesson is not the place to discuss that, but it is a good seed to be planted, if you will. Now let's go ahead and continue. This thing it speaks of and would yet defend, it tells you is yourself. So let's think of the body. This body it speaks of and would yet defend, it tells you is yourself, with a small s, meaning, if you're looking at the text with me right now, that small s is the ego. That small s is the self that you made apart from God. Whenever you see the capital S, self, that word self with a capital S, that is who God created, who you really are, who we most likely have forgotten, and we are here to remember. Now, we are not this body, yet we try to defend it when we are identifying with the ego, because we believe that we are the body, and we believe that that body needs to be protected, and we believe that it is separate from everyone and everything. Now, of course, in this world, the body is separate from that individual over there and that thing over there, but in truth, there is no such thing as separation. And you believe that this is so with stubborn certainty, yet underneath remains the hidden doubt that what it shows you as reality with such conviction it does not believe. It is itself alone that it condemns. It is within itself it sees the guilt. It is its own despair it sees in you. One more time. It is itself alone that it condemns. Me and you only condemn ourselves. Me and you only judge ourselves. So whenever we think that we're looking out there judging that individual, saying, you're less than me, or you're acting insanely, you're doing this and that, and you're wrong for that, all of those statements are us judging that individual over there, trying to make ourselves feel better. We're either doing this knowingly or unknowingly, but we're doing it. Pretty much the whole world is doing it, projecting their fears outward and blaming everyone else, making everyone else guilty, because that makes them feel more powerful, when really they are only projecting all of their own sense of separation within, and it's going to be a perpetual cycle until they remove the separation from its source, which is them, which is us. The source of separation is a belief that me and you have made, and we are going to see separation out there as long as we believe in separation. But whenever we discontinue that belief and throw it in the trash, and it returns to the nothingness from which it emerged, then we understand that there is only one, and only whenever we gain that perception of oneness will we see oneness and unity outside of us. So it's going to be very helpful that if you don't know where you're at internally, look outside of you. And anytime something outside of you triggers you, pushes your buttons, anytime something outside of you happens and it gets you worried, doubt, fear, etc., that's letting you know, hey, this is an aspect of creation, i.e. of yourself, that you have just condemned, meaning you are screaming in the cave, fear, 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 and it's echoing back to you what you screamed in the cave, what you screamed in the tunnel. So that analogy is perfect for this example, because we are projecting not enoughness, not enoughness, not enoughness. And whatever we projected that projection on outside of us, whether it's a person, or a situation or an event, it is going to echo back to us what we gave it first. And all of the time, most of the time, I will say, we are believing that that echo coming back to us is as a result of that separate thing out there, and it's asserting its being on us. It is attacking us when really nothing can attack you. Attack does not exist. Attack is not real. You are simply screaming in the tunnel, and you are hearing a reflection of what you screamed first, and you don't know that you're the one screaming, and you don't know that it is an echo. Now, it's important for us to remember this because you're going to be more aware now. Oh, okay. If I am hearing an echo of fear, I put it there. And if I am hearing an echo of love, I am seeing what is there all the time, because love is all there is. All things are echoes of the voice for God, which you are a part of. Meaning, if I'm hearing an echo of love, I am hearing the voice of myself, because I am created from the source. I emerge forth from the oneness, meaning I am one with God. I am one with my source. I am one with my creator. So one more time, whenever you hear an echo, whenever you are perceiving outside of yourself, fear, worry, doubt, etc., you are simply perceiving from the lens of the ego, of separation, and that is a good indicator letting you know that that is the teacher you're following in that moment. And whenever you hearing echo of love and joy and eternalness and timelessness and joy, then you are simply hearing the echo of the voice for God, of the voice of who you really are. Let's continue. Hear not its voice. The witnesses it sends to prove to you is evil. Its evil is your own are false, and speak with certainty of what they do not know. Your faith in them is blind, because you would not share the doubts their Lord cannot completely vanquish. You believe to doubt his vassals is to doubt yourself. Yet you must learn to doubt. Their evidence will clear the way to recognize yourself, and let the voice for God alone be judge of what is worthy of your own belief. He will not tell you that your brother should be judged by what your eyes behold in him, nor what his body's mouth says to your ears, nor what your fingers touch reports of him. He passes by such idle witnesses, which merely bear false witness to God's Son. This is another way of saying that individual over there who is your brother is not a body, and only your senses of this body that you think you are going to justify the belief that he is also that body. But remember, our senses are only vibrational interpreters, meaning your eyes are just interpreting vibration and interpreting it in a way so you could see colors and sizes. Your ears are vibrational interpreters, interpreting vibration so you could hear sounds and notes. For example, if you were to ever look at a waveform, if you were ever to look at an audio recording and you could see the waveform, you can see the vibration of someone's voice, you will see that your ears are simply picking up that vibration and translating it in a way for your body's ears to understand. But these are idle witnesses which merely bear false witness to God's Son. Again, he is not that body. You are not this body. Me and you are not this body. We are free. We are spirit. We are omnipresent. We are everywhere at once. There is no limit to where we can be. We are where our thoughts go. We are at all places at all times. It is only whenever we are identifying with this tiny little perception, this tiny little perspective of this body and these body's eyes, that we believe that we are alone and separate. But whenever we transcend being the body and we reach this state of enlightenment, we understand that we are one with all aspects of creation. We are one with the individual that we are thinking of right now. And depending on if we are looking at that individual in our minds right now with fear and doubt and guilt, or love and light, depending on which perception we see of that individual that's in our mind, is going to determine whether we are identifying with the body or whether we are identifying with that individual who is also one with all that is. We are all one. There is no amount of words and no string of words that can be used that will express this as much as actually experiencing it. He recognizes only he recognizes only what God loves. And in the holy light of what he sees, do all the ego's dreams of what you are vanish before the splendor he beholds. Let him be judge of what you are, for he has certainty in which there is no doubt, because it rests on certainty with a capital C, meaning truth, so great that doubt is meaningless before its face. Christ cannot doubt himself. The voice for God can only honor him, rejoicing in his perfect, everlasting sinlessness. Whom he has judged can only laugh at guilt, unwilling now to play with toys of sin, unheeding of the body's witnesses before the rapture of Christ's holy face. And thus he judges you. Accept his word for what you are, for he bears witness to your beautiful creation and the mind whose thought created your reality. What can the body mean to him who knows the glory of the Father and the Son? What whispers of the ego can he hear? What could convince him that your sins are real? Let him be judge as well of everything that seems to happen to you in this world. His lessons will enable you to bridge the gap between illusions and the truth. So this is powerful. Anytime you are perceiving something outside of yourself as bad, like a situation happens to you and you feel lack and you are feeling worry or doubt and you are in your mind of illusions and you are hallucinating, seeing something that is not really there. You are doubting that you are going to accomplish what you think you need to accomplish. Any situation where you are not at peace and you can't seem to reach this state that we're at right now. Anytime you are in identifying with the ego, identifying with fear, that is a great time for you to let him be judge as well of everything that seems to happen to you in this world, meaning that would be a good time for you to pray or to ask for help, ask God for help, ask the Holy Spirit for help, ask who you really are, the capital S self, for help. Whatever it is that you want to call that higher power that is the source of all that is, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to look at it as, you want to ask that higher power for help, because while identifying with this body, which is on a low vibration, which is not truth, we are going to need some form of truth to guide us and be the bridge back for us to get to this state of mind again. So in those moments, don't be afraid to ask for help. You don't have to go out there and ask a physical person or say it with physical words, but you simply have to recognize that you are only seeing this tiny little portion of a radar screen, and you are understanding that you don't know what you don't know. And whenever you ask for guidance and you are willing to step out of the way, then your free will is not being violated and you will be able to receive help because you stepped out of the way. Remember, free will is your will to to okay, whenever you say, this is what I'm seeing right now, this is how it is, and I am not at peace right now because of this is how things are going right now, that cannot be bypassed. You're saying, this is what it is, this is the decision you've made, and no higher power could insert truth into that mind that you have blocked all other options out of. But whenever you step out of the way and say something along the lines of, you know what, Holy Spirit, or you know what, God, I am seeing the situation right now like this, and I know that it is not a true a true assessment of the situation because I am not at peace. And I would understand that whenever I do perceive truthfully, I would be at peace. Because I'm not at peace right now, I'm going to step out of the way and I'm asking for some guidance so that way I can receive true perception, so I could see the situation as it really is and be back in my right mind. Whenever you are showing that you are willing to see differently, see the situation differently, then you can be receptive to a miracle. You can be receptive to an event that will occur in your life that will put you back in your right state of mind. It is always here. You have to be the one to get here, though. And if it requires asking for help, then that is what you must do, or else you will be on the hamster wheel of the illusion and you can't get off until you do something about getting off the hamster wheel. He will remove all faith that you have placed in pain, disaster, suffering, and loss. He gives you vision which can look beyond these grim appearances and can behold the gentle face of Christ in all of them. You will no longer doubt that only good can come to you who are beloved of God, for he will judge all happenings and teach the single lesson that they all contain. He will select the elements in them which represent the truth and disregard those aspects which reflect but idle dreams. Remember, all things are echoes of the voice for God. So even though you're viewing a situation that appears to be anything other than the voice for God, in that situation you can find truth, but you can't see it there at that moment in time because you're perceiving with the ego's eyes. So it states right here, he will select the elements from that situation that represent the truth and disregard all of those aspects which reflect but idle dreams. And you will finally be able to step out of the way and see the situation as it really is in truth and remove all idle illusions of your own making that are causing you to perceive fearfully and causing you to feel all of those emotions of disaster, pain, suffering, loss, etc. There's truth in everything. All things are echoes of the voice for God. Now, would we choose to hear that echo of God, or are we going to hear the echo of the fear that we put there first? You don't have to put love on nothing because love is all there is, but you do have to put fear over love, because if you don't put fear, it wouldn't be there to begin with, because all there is love. And you will see the love beyond the hate. One more time. And he will reinterpret all you see and all occurrences, each circumstance and every happening that seems to touch on you in any way from his one frame of reference, wholly unified and sure. And you will see the love beyond the hate, the constancy in change, the pure in sin, and only heaven's blessing on the world. Such is your resurrection, for your life is not a part of anything you see. It stands beyond the body and the world, past every witness for unholiness, within the holy, holy as itself. In everyone and everything, his voice would speak to you of nothing but yourself, your capital S self, and your Creator, who is one with him. So will you see the holy face of Christ in everything, and hear in everything no sound except the echo of God's voice. We practice wordlessly today, except at the beginning of the time we spend with God. We introduce these times with but a single, slow repeating of the thought which the day begins. And then we watch our thoughts, appealing silently to him who sees the elements of truth in them. Let him evaluate each thought that comes to mind, remove the elements of dreams, and give them back again as clean ideas that do not contradict the will of God. Now, this is a powerful lesson because, like it says, we practice wordlessly today. So as you are doing your practice periods today, you repeat the central idea. All things are echoes of the voice for God. And then you will sit there wordlessly in silence and allow all of those thoughts to rise to the surface. And he will and it states right here, evaluate each one of those thoughts that comes to mind, remove the elements of dreams within that thought, and give the thought back as clean ideas that do not contradict the will of God. Powerful, powerful lesson here today. Give him your thoughts, and he will give them back as miracles which joyously proclaim the wholeness and the happiness God wills his Son, as proof his eternal love, as proof of his eternal love. And as each thought is thus transformed, it takes on healing power from the mind which saw the truth in it and failed to be deceived by what was falsely added. All the threads of fantasy are gone, and what remains is unified into a perfect thought that offers its perfection everywhere. Spend 15 minutes thus when you awake, and gladly give another 15 minutes before you go to sleep. Your ministry begins as all your thoughts are purified. So are you taught to teach the Son of God the holy lesson of his sanctity. No one can fail to listen when you hear the voice for God give honor to God's Son. And everyone will share the thoughts with you which he has retranslated in your mind. Such is your Eastertide, and so you lay the gift of snow-white lilies on the world, replacing witnesses to sin and death. Through your transfiguration is the world redeemed and joyfully released from guilt. Now do we lift our resurrected minds in gladness and in gratitude to him who has restored our sanity to us. And we will hourly remember him who is salvation and deliverance. As we give thanks, the world unites with us and happily accepts our holy thoughts, which heaven has corrected and made pure. Now has our ministry begun at last to carry round the world the joyous news that truth has no illusions, and the peace of God through us belongs to everyone. Wow, what a powerful lesson right here. We are going to conclude right there and allow our minds to really absorb everything that we just remembered. We are going to repeat the idea for today. All things are echoes of the voice for God at the beginning of our practice period. And then we are going to dedicate 15 minutes to just sitting there in silence, meditating, if you will, on that thought, and allow any thoughts that may arise from what we have to do today, or what we may have done yesterday, or of a person, place, thing, of this world, etc., that may arise in our mind. We are going to allow the Holy Spirit, if you will. We are going to allow God. We are going to allow our capital S self, who we really are, whatever it is that you want to call it. We are going to allow that thought to be observed by truth and disregarded all of the dreams and illusions of that thought, and be given back to you with only pure truth. Meaning, if a thought of an individual pops up in your mind who you hold a grievance about, that thought you are going to allow to be interpreted, reinterpreted, and the dream of the grievance will be thrown out, and the thought of that individual will be given back to you in your mind, and you will see the purity of that individual as they really are, which is love and light, which is as you are. So again, we are going to practice this today. Keep this on our mind, and we will meet here again for lesson 152 of A Course in Miracles tomorrow.